Hey guys, this is the Chapter 3 review. If you're watching this video, that means you need a little bit of help, which is okay. I'll go through each of the problems and show you how to do them. So, number 2, Kyle downloaded 4 songs. He spent $1.99 on each of the first 2 songs and 3 times as much on the third song as on the fourth song. In all, he spent $7.94. Now, the question is, how much did the third song cost? So we need to get an equation from this word problem. Well, we know since it says he spent $1.99 on each of the first 2 songs, we know that he is going to pay $1.99 plus $1.99. Now it also says that he spent 3 times as much on the third song as on the fourth. If we make the fourth song cost X amount, we don't know how much it costs, so we'll just make it X. We know that the third song costs 3 times X, and the fourth one will just cost X. So we'll have the equation $1.99 plus $1.99 plus 3X plus X equal to $7.94. Now we just need to solve this problem. We'll combine our like terms. $1.99 plus $1.99 is $3.98. And then 3x plus x is 4x. And that'll be equal to $7.94. Now we'll have to subtract $3.98 from both sides, giving us 4x equal to $3.96. And then we'll just have to divide both sides by 4, giving us x equals 99 cents. Now remember that x stood for the cost of the fourth song, so to find the cost of the third song, we have to take 3 times x, or 3 times 99 cents, which is $2.97. So the third cost $2.97. In the next problem, we have to solve this inequality. 3 times the quantity of x minus 5 is less than 12. First thing we need to do is distribute. So I'll distribute the 3 to the x, giving me 3x, and the 3 to the negative 5, giving me negative 15. And that'll be less than 12. Add 15 to both sides, giving me 3x. These 15s cancel out. This is less than 27. Divide both sides by 3. Now we'll get x equals 27 divided by 3. I'm sorry, x is less than, not equals. This is an inequality. X is less than 9. For number 4, we have another inequality to solve. First thing we need to do is subtract 10 from both sides. 10's on the left cancel out, and we're left with a negative 6x is greater than or equal to negative 12. Now we need to divide both sides by negative 6. And since we are dividing by a negative number, we need to change this sign from a greater than or equal to a less than or equal to. So my negative 6 is on my left will cancel out. I'm left with x is less than or equal to positive 2. Number 5, we have 4 plus 5 times the quantity of x minus 2 is less than negative 26. First thing I need to do is distribute my 5 to x, giving me a 5x, and the 5 to the negative 2, giving me negative 10. Nothing happens by 4, so I have 4 plus 5x minus 10 is less than negative 26. Now I need to combine some like terms. We can combine the 4 and the negative 10, giving me 5x minus 6 and that is less than negative 26. Add 6 to both sides, and I will get 5x is less than negative 20. Then my last step, I need to divide both sides by 5. I'm only dividing by a positive, so I do not have to flip my sign. So I'll get a final answer of x is less than negative 4. The next one, we have negative 2 minus x is greater than negative 2. First step is to add 2 to both sides. Negative 2 is on the left, cancel out. I'm left with negative x is greater than 0. Now remember, since we have a negative x, it is the same thing as having a negative 1 times x. So to get rid of that negative 1, I have to divide both sides by negative 1. Since I'm dividing by a negative number, my greater than becomes a less than. Negative 1 to the left cancel out. I'm left with x is less than 0 divided by 1 by negative 1, which is just 0. So my final answer is x is less than 0. For number 7, I have to graph on a number line the solutions to the inequality in question 6. In question 6, we got our final answer of x is less than 0. So I have to graph this on my number line. So I know I have an open circle at 0. Open because I just have a less than. And now I have to shade either left or right. Well, if we have x is less than 0, so I want the number smaller than 0. Well, the numbers smaller than 0 are to the left, so I will shade to the left. Number 8 says Nino is buying a life jacket that costs $97. He gives the salesperson 4 $20 bills and pays the rest in $5 bills. How many $5 bills does Nino need to give the salesperson? Well, we know that he has to pay $97. So we have 97 is equal to something. Well, he pays in 4 $20 bills. To find out how much money that is, we take 4 times 20. And then it also says he pays the rest in $5 bills. Well, we don't know how many $5 he uses, so that'll be plus 5x. So now we have an equation, so we need to solve it. Let's do some simplifying first. We have 97 is equal to 4 times 20, which is 80. 80 plus 5x. Now we need to start solving the equation, so we subtract 80 from both sides. My 80s on my right cancel out, and I'm left with 17 equal to 5x. Divide both sides by 5. 5's on the right cancel out, and I have x is equal to 3.4. Now, we can't pay in 3.4 $5 bills. You can't pay in a $0.4 bill. So we need to round that up, and he will give the salesperson 4 $5 bills. The next problem says in 10 through 12, we use the following situation. Mrs. Tucker spends 20 minutes doing paperwork in her classroom in the morning and then spends 15 minutes helping each student she sees. After helping S students, she has spent T minutes in her classroom where T is equal to 20 plus 15S. We will need to complete the table of values at the right. Well, you can do this one of two ways. You can substitute each of these values into our equation and find out what T is equal to. Or you could go into your calculator, type in 20 plus 15x, look at your table, and then get your T values. Whenever you do this, you will get the T values of 20, 35, 50, 65, and 80. So those are all your T values. Now we can answer question 11. It says, use the table in question 10 to determine how many students Mrs. Tucker has seen after spending 80 minutes in her classroom. So we need to go and find out where 80 minutes is. Well, if we look at the T column, which stands for time, we need to find 80, which is right here. Well, how many students goes with 80 minutes? Well, S is equal to 4, so we know that it is 4 students. For number 12, we have to make a graph from the table in question 10. So I have to use the values that I have in the table in question 10, which are the S and the T values. The S values were 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the T values were 20, 35, 50, 65, and 80. And I will need to plot all of these points. So I need to go to my graph. For 0, 20, I go over 0, up 20. And I get a point at 20. Then I need to go over 1, up 35, which is about right here. Then I'll have to go over 2, up 50, which is right here. Over 3, up 65, which is about right there. Maybe. So now I need to plot all these points on my graph. So I take 0, 20, go over 0, up 20. Over 1, up 35, which is about right here. Over 2, up 50, which is right here. Over 3, up 65, which is about right there. And over 4, up 80, which is right there. And then I can connect my dots with a straight edge. And you will get a graph that looks like that. For 13 through 16, I need to solve some equations. So for number 13, we have negative 8 plus x minus 3 times the quantity of x minus 1 equals 17. First thing I need to do is distribute this negative 3 to the x and to the negative 1. Nothing happens to my negative 8 plus x. We have negative 3 times x, which is negative 3x. And then notice negative 3 times negative 1. Negative times a negative is a positive. So we get plus 3. That is equal to 17. Now I need to combine some like terms while I have a negative 8 and a negative 3. Sorry, this is an x here. Negative 8 and a positive 3 gives us a negative 5. And then we have a positive x and a minus 3x giving me negative 2x. So we have negative 2x minus 5 equal to 17. Now to solve this, I will first need to add 5 to both sides. 5's on the left cancel out. And I have negative 2x equal to 22. Divide both sides by negative 2. And I get a final answer of x is equal to negative 11. Next one, number 14, we have negative 7y minus 4 equal to negative 18. First thing you do is add 4 to both sides. The 4 and the negative 4 on the left cancel out, so I have negative 7y equal to negative 18 plus 4, which is negative 14. Divide both sides by negative 7. Negative 7's on the left cancel out, so I have y is equal to 2. For number 15, I have negative 36 is equal to 9 times negative x plus 3. I need to distribute my my 9 to the negative x, giving me negative 9x, and a 9 to the 3, giving me positive 27. So I have negative 36 is equal to negative 9x plus 27. To get rid of the positive 27, I have to subtract 27 from both sides. 27's on the right cancel out. They're gone. So we have negative 63 is equal to negative 9x. Divide both sides by negative 9. And I get 7 is equal to x. Number 16, we have negative q over 2 plus q over 5 equal to 0.1. Now I can rewrite this as negative 1/2 q plus 1/5 q equal to 0.1. So we need to add negative 1/2 plus 1/5. If you go ahead and do that in your calculator, you will get negative 3/10 q equal to 0.1. Now, to get rid of the multiplication of negative 3/10, we have to divide by negative 3/10, or since we know that dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal of that fraction, we can multiply by negative 10 thirds on both sides. The negative 10 thirds and the 3/10 will cancel out, and we're left with q is equal to 0.1 times 10 over negative 3, which is equal to negative 1/3. For number 17, we have a baseball team had $2,500 to spend on supplies. The team spent $210 on a new bat. New baseballs cost $5 each. The inequality, 210 plus 5b is less than or equal to 2,500, can be used to determine the number of new baseballs, B, that the team can purchase. Which statement about the number of new baseballs that can be purchased is true? So we have to find out which of these choices will work for what we have. Well, we know we have the inequality, 210 plus 5b is less than or equal to 2,500, where we know b is the number of baseballs a team can purchase. So if we solve this inequality for b, it'll tell us how many baseballs we can purchase. To do that, we'll subtract 210 from both sides, giving me 5b is less than or equal to 2,290. Now I need to divide both sides by 5. 5's on the left cancel out, so I have b is less than or equal to 458. So let's check out our answers to see if anything matches up with we have b is less than or equal to 458. Remember, b stands for the number of new baseballs a team can purchase. A says the team can purchase 458 new baseballs. Well, we have the inequality b is less than or equal to 458. Since 458 is equal to 458, we know A will work. If we look at B, the minimum number of new baseballs that a team can purchase is 210. Well, we know that's not true because 210 is the cost of a new bat. And according to our inequalities, the minimum number of new baseballs a team can purchase is less than or equal to 458. So we can say 1 is the minimum number that can be purchased. C says the maximum number of new baseballs that can be purchased is 210. Well, we know that's not right because we can go up to 458 from our inequality. So we know C is not correct. D says a team can purchase 542 new baseballs. Well, since 542 is not less than or equal to 458, we know that D does not work. So our correct answer is A. Number 18, we have to solve the inequality and graph its solution. So first thing I need to do is add 6 to both sides of my inequality. And I'll get negative 10b. Negative 6 and positive 6 cancel out. So I have negative 10b is greater than or equal to negative 116 plus 6, which is negative 110. Now we'll divide both sides by negative 10. Since I'm divided by a negative number, I know that this greater than will flip to a less than. My negative 10s cancel out, so I have b is less than 11. Well, I know I will need a open circle because I have a less than. We're looking at my graphs. We know that all the graphs will work, but only one inequality has b is less than 11. And notice that the shading is to the left, so we are good. Now we have the equation negative 23 over 10 equals negative 1 minus 6/5. And first thing I need to do is add 1 to both sides. My 1s on my right cancel out. So I have negative 23 over 10 plus 1. Go ahead in your calculator, put negative 23 over 10 plus 1. You will get negative 13 over 10. That is equal to negative 6/5. And now, to get rid of the multiplication of negative 6/5, we have to divide by negative 6/5, or we know we can just multiply by negative 5/6, and it will be the same thing. We need to do that to both sides. Well, my negative 5/6 and negative 6/5 on the right will cancel out. So we will be left with negative 5/6 times negative 13 over 10, which will be equal to 13 over 12. So that is my final answer. For number 20, we have Brianna sells insurance. She earns $28 per hour, gets 55 cents per mile for driving expenses, and $30 per day for meals. Set up and solve an equation to determine how many miles Brianna traveled if she worked 8 hours on Monday and received $315.60 in wages and expenses. First thing we need to do is define our variable. Well, it tells us that she worked 8 hours. So we know that is not a variable. We know how many hours she worked. It also tells us that she worked on Monday. So we know how many days she worked. So the only thing it doesn't tell us is how many miles she drove. So our variable x will be equal to miles. So now we need to write an equation for this situation. Well, we know that she earns $28 per hour. So that'll be $28 times the amount of hours she worked. And she worked 8 hours, so it's 28 times 8. Plus 55 cents per mile. We don't know how many miles she drove, so that's our 0.55 times x. Plus her $30 per day for meals. Only one day, so we just need to add 30. And then we know that she received $315.60, so it'll be equal to 315.60. Now we just need to solve that equation. First thing we need to do is multiply 28 times 8, which is 254. So we have 254 plus 0.55x plus 30, and that is equal to 315.60. Now we can combine some like terms. I'm sorry, I told you that 28 times 8 was 254. It's 224. But then when you add the 30 to it, it gives us our 254. Sorry about that. So we don't need that 30 there anymore. We can erase that. So we have 254 plus 55x equals $315.60. So now to solve this equation, we subtract 254 from both sides. 254s on the left cancel out, so I have 0.55x equal to $61.60. Now I need to divide both sides by 55 cents. $0.55 on the left cancel out, so I have x is equal to 112 miles. For number 21, we know that Grace bought 10 muffins for her friends with a $20 bill. The sales clerk handed her $8.60 and change. What was the cost of each muffin? Well, to define our variable first, we don't know what the cost of the muffin is, so we can make x equal to the cost of one muffin. Now we need to write an equation for this situation. Well, we know she bought 10 muffins, so that's 10 times the cost of a muffin, which is x. So we have 10x. And if we look at her change, $8.60, knowing that she paid with a $20 bill, if we add 10x, the cost of the muffins, plus her change, $8.60, it'll be equal to $20. So that is our equation. Now we just need to solve this equation. So I take 10x plus 860 equal to 20 and solve it. So I need to subtract 860 from both sides. 860s on the left cancel out. So I have 10x is equal to 1140. Now I need to divide both sides by 10. And I get x is equal to $1.14. Number 22 says, Mrs. Barnard monitored the growth of a fish. The fish originally weighed 30 ounces. The fish grew at a rate of 4 ounces per month. The equation below can be used to describe the weight in ounces of the fish. 72 equals 30 plus 4x. We need to solve this equation to describe what the solution means. So if we take 72 plus 30, 72 equals 30 plus 4x and solve it, we need to find out what that actually means. So let's go ahead and solve the equation first. Subtract 30 from both sides. 30's on the right cancel out. 72 minus 30 is 42. So we have 42 is equal to 4x. Divide both sides by 4. 4's on the right cancel out. And I get 10.5 is equal to x. Now we need to describe what that means. If we look at our problem, we know that the fish originally weighed 30 ounces, which is right here. And it grew 4 ounces per month. The only thing the problem doesn't tell us is that how many months this fish was growing. So we have x is equal to 10.5. We know that it took 10.5 months for the fish to weigh 72 ounces. Alright, that is the end of the review packet. If you had completed the review packet 100% correctly, you watched this video, you understand everything, you should do perfectly fine on the test tomorrow. Good luck.